World War I didn't just happen by accident. By 1914, Europe was a powder keg of competing isms. Imperialism saw nations racing to carve up the globe for resources and prestige. Extremism fueled a belief that one's own nation had a right to conquer others. We saw this in movements like Pan-Slavism, where Russia backed Serbian nationalism, and the Pan-German movement. Meanwhile, France was driven by a revenge movement, desperate to reclaim Alsace-Lorraine, which they'd lost to Germany in 1871. These weren't just political disagreements, they were deep-seated identities that made conflict feel inevitable. Before the first shots were fired, the world almost went to war over Morocco. In 1905, Germany challenged French influence there, leading to the Algeciras Conference, which only temporarily cooled the room. Then came 1911, the Agadir crisis. Germany sent the warship Panther to a Moroccan port, and Britain responded with its own naval show of force. At the same time, the Balkan League, Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Montenegro, was tearing into what was left of the Ottoman Empire. These crises proved that any small spark in a sensitive region could drag the great powers into a total collapse. That spark finally landed on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand triggered a domino effect of alliances. On one side, the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and initially Italy. On the other, the Triple Entente, France, Russia, and England. When Austria declared war on Serbia on July 28, these secret treaties and public pacts pulled every major power into the fray within weeks. The world was now divided into two massive blocs, locked in a struggle that no one truly knew how to end. The war quickly descended into a terrifying new kind of combat. Germany introduced chemical weapons, lethal chlorine and phosgene gas, that turned the trenches into nightmares. At sea, German U-boats targeted Allied shipping, famously sinking the British passenger liner Lusitania in 1915. This unrestricted submarine warfare, combined with diplomatic pressure, finally brought the United States into the war on April 6, 1917. The entry of American industrial might and fresh troops began to shift the balance, even as the carnage on the ground reached levels never seen before in human history. By 1918, the strain was breaking empires. Russia, consumed by revolution, signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk and withdrew from the war in March. But for the Central Powers, the end was near. On November 11, 1918, an armistice finally silenced the guns. The peace that followed, however, was just as volatile. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to accept war guilt, pay a staggering $33 billion in reparations, and dismantle its military. This humiliation left a scar on the German psyche that would haunt Europe for decades to come. In the end, World War I shattered the great illusion, the idea that modern war could ever be profitable or quick. It cost millions of lives and birthed new nations like Poland out of the ruins of old empires. President Woodrow Wilson had hoped his 14 points would lead to a war to end all wars. Instead, the harsh terms of the peace and the unresolved tensions of the isms simply set the stage for the next great conflict. We are still living with the borders and the lessons of that catastrophic 4-year struggle today.